Look at all those chickens.
And welcome back to my channel. It's been a little bit since I have done a video, and I don't know why every time I sit down and do a video I feel the need to say that, but I'm here now and I'm alive, and I'm also a little coarse. It's kind of hard to speak. I'm not sure why. I don't have a cold. I'm just like this. This is me. I have just now gotten back into a normal sleeping schedule, a normal eating schedule, just also calming down from all the excitement that was happening. Last weekend I went on a very fun trip to Atlanta where the Anime Weekend Atlanta took place. This was actually my very first convention that I've ever gone to, my first time cosplaying, just a lot of really fun first time things. Pretty much just gonna go down the list, spew off a couple of details about it. Now, I've always wanted to go on a trip to a convention. The big cons, or the big three I should say, is pretty much Dragon Con, MomoCon, but then also AWA. Depending on what you're more into, that's kind of going to change and range as far as like which one is better than the other. I know for me, I always wanted to go to MomoCon, and that was like my to-do list, my bucket list. Going to AWA, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was kind of like, oh, okay, sure, why not? I wasn't watching as many animes at the time. Even now, like, I have a long list of animes that I'm like catching up on. As soon as I went to this, I was like, oh, that's all changed. I'm back in it. I hadn't been into like anime super deep since like high school. And I don't know what happened, you know, college life, things like that occur. So I kind of stopped watching them, except for a few exceptions, like really notable anime. But now that I went to Anime Weekend Atlanta, I'm in it. I'm ready to start back watching these different cartoons. Let me get a drink of water. I think what's happening right now is like my post-convention sickness. Now I think I'm paying for it with my voice. Oh well. Okay, so first thing on the list was getting there. Now, I had to drive 2.5 hours to Atlanta, going through the traffic and all of this other crazy stuff. If you watching know about Atlanta traffic, I really don't have to preface anything, but for those of you maybe watching out of state, Atlanta traffic, whew, like, I feel you almost question if you know how to drive going through Atlanta traffic. You're basically wrestling. Like, it's a constant wrestle between you and the other drivers. It was really a lot to deal with, even when there was only like me and like three other cars on the road. It was just way too much, and so I had to maneuver in the late hours, but once I finally got there, it wasn't that bad. And if I were in the city, I feel like it wouldn't be as bad. I don't know. If you live in the Atlanta area and you know a little bit of tips and tricks on how to maneuver through the traffic, then please comment down below and let me know, because I see myself going there in the future and I really want to be able to know how to navigate. I am a newbie. Obviously, like I say, I am a novice when it comes down to conventions. The one half was panels put on by the convention and industry panel. They are the official people and they've done this plenty of times. And then there's the other half that's like fan put on panels. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like, there's kind of a change when it comes down to how those things are put on. There were some really good smaller panels, very informative ones. With this being an anime convention, there were a lot of how to break into voice acting, how to break into the industry type of broad categories. And I think if you are a person who knows absolutely nothing about these things, that's totally cool, and I think those are really great resources for those people. For me, those types of panels started to kind of like get like repetitive rather quickly. Now there was a panel, and it was actually the absolute very last day, my very last panel that I went to, that was very informative, really cool and inspiring. And so that's probably what I would say is the standard when it comes down to fan and guest volunteer panels.
Happy birthday, beautiful girl.
So the next thing that we got to experience was the Artist Alley. So the Artist Alley, let me paint this picture for you. You've got this ginormous room in the center of the whole convention center. Yeah, okay. You have this giant room. It's kind of split up into two. So you go in there, first off, this is just one big room to spend all your money at. But that's more pertaining to like the vendors area. But the Artist Alley, that's the other half of this giant room where tons of artists are, they have their own little booths and they're selling their artwork, and I was like super inspired by that. I know for me, and many of you know this, that I'm an artist, and for me, that was a moment where I was like, okay, this is definitely something I would be totally willing to do. You go into this room and you see all these people who they are funding the creation of their own art. They are selling prints, they're selling pins, they're making money off of this stuff and sharing these really cool original pieces and fan pieces that, you know, they put their heart and soul into. I think for me, as far as my goal in the future, especially in 2019 and 2020, I would love to participate in something like that. And I think it would be really cool to have my own booth and selling my art, and that is definitely a really cool area to be at. So I talked about the Artist Alley, then there was the vendors den, vendor area, and this is pretty much just any like figurines, merch, posters, just a bunch of cool businesses that have kind of cool anime and nerd-centric products. This area is ginormous. There's just like so many different booths of different things to buy, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. I actually didn't buy anything from the vendors area. If I were in the market for some cool figurines, which I kind of was, but I was having a little bit hard time finding things, especially according to what I was into at the time. Now, here's the thing, and it's kind of like you think about it after it happens. Now that the con is over, I actually started watching My Hero Academia. And if I had have been into My Hero Academia at the time I went to the convention, oh boy, I would probably have less money than I had coming out of the convention. Because obviously there was like tons and tons of vendors selling plenty of merch for that. It's kind of a blessing in disguise, but next time is gonna be a different story. Just gonna have like carts and bags full of My Hero Academia. If you're not watching that show, I don't even know what you're doing with your life. It's so good. Just a side tangent, everybody told me to watch this show like a year ago, and I just was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to it, I'm gonna watch it. Come to the con, and like everybody is cosplaying as it. And now that I have, you know, kind of some free time to do so after the con, I'm gonna catch up on those shows. The guest is kind of an interesting thing. I would say that might be 50% of the pull for most conventions when it comes down to marketing and like getting people psyched. But there was one name that I was super duper psyched for, and it wasn't until the very last day of the convention that I was able to like say, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see this person. I'm gonna meet this person. And that was Steve Blum. If you don't know who Steve Blum is, which I mean, everybody kind of does. He is the voice of Spike on Cowboy Bebop. And I was like, oh, this is my chance. So we wait in line and finally get up to the front, have the chance to get an autograph signed by him and also a picture with him. I'll talk about the picture in a second because that, looking back now, I'm just thinking to myself, oh my goodness, what the heck? But anyway, I go up to him and I'm thinking to myself, what do you say to somebody when they are signing an autograph for you? You know, especially in this context. In my experience meeting celebrities, like it's always kind of quick, in passing, like, hey, quick photo, hey, quick sign, like they're doing something in the movement of going somewhere. For me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have like, in the duration of him signing, a chance to talk to him. And I had absolutely no idea what I was gonna say. I was extremely nervous, and afterwards I was still laughing and giggling like, oh my gosh, I met Steve Blum. But I come up to him and he, you know, he's asking me what my name is, what he wants me to sign, my poster for, or what I want. You get what I'm saying. I'm thinking, okay, I can't just say like everybody else, oh, I loved you in Cowboy Bebop, I loved you in Star Wars Rebels, all this other things that they've probably heard a million times. I come up to him and I notice as he's signing, he has a tattoo on his left forearm. I ask him politely, I'm like, do you mind if I ask what your tattoo is about? And he says, yeah, it's this is the actual sound waves from the very last line of Spike on Cowboy Bebop. I ripped it straight from the editing bay and I got the sound waves tattooed on my arm. And I was like, oh my goodness. I got chills, y'all. I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. Then he went on to talk about like his other tattoos that he has, like one on his upper arm, one right here, that's like the Toonami logo. This was probably the best conversation I could have out of this interaction. So glad I decided not to be like, oh, so here's this piece of fun fact I know about Cowboy Bebop. Do you approve of that? Yeah? Okay, cool. Like, it was so much better than I could have hoped for. After we had that really cool conversation, I was really surprised and stoked about what he said. Then he got up and took a photo with me. This is the photo. I don't know where I'm gonna end up putting it in editing, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, so the only context in which I take a photo with him in this outfit, the only context would make sense being at a anime convention. But I'm over here looking like the hugest dork, biggest grin on my face, and I'm in this ginormous onesie, which the actual term for it is kigurumi. But regardless, I'm wearing this giant kigu and I'm just like taking a picture with a celebrity. It was a week after the convention that I actually took the time to look at the picture and think, what am I wearing? I don't know. But I mean, regardless, it was great. I just felt like after showing that and posting it online, I was just like, what was I thinking? Alright, so the other cool first time experience I had at the convention was to go to a rave, which was really a lot of fun. Anime Week in Atlanta on Saturday night has this kind of big rave celebration, and they have all these cool DJs come in, and I had a really fun time, and I also had the chance to crowd surf for the first time ever, and that was an interesting experience. So I went up and kind of like had like my friend lift me up into the crowd. Now, Granted, I probably should have waited until there was a hyper song on, like something more hype and like really got the crowd going, because I feel like if that had happened, I wouldn't have gotten dropped on my butt. That's how the crowd surfing ended. That's how the 10 seconds ended up finishing off, which was a little unfortunate. I was fine until like we got back to our Airbnb, and I just felt like crippled after that. Anime Week in Atlanta had so many amazing cosplayers at it. I was just in awe, and I get now why people just kind of ask so often to get pictures and take pictures of people, because there's so many really amazing cosplays and also really creative ones too. And for me, I actually decided to cosplay at the convention as well. I feel like I kind of went in head first when it came down to my first convention and deciding, oh yeah, I'm gonna cosplay, it's gonna be no big deal. It was a big deal. Having to navigate where I was going, as well as making sure that like my costume was well put together still, and then also people asking me if they can take photos of me. All of this rolled up into one. I will say this, it's better late than never. And I'm not gonna lie, with my next convention that I'm going to, I am most definitely going to end up cosplaying something. At least I had the chance to experience it, and I've gained some knowledge as far as how to better navigate in the future. But yeah, I'm excited and I'm totally ready to cosplay again. I actually am already thinking of different outfits to wear and what I want to plan next. And I'm not gonna lie, just to give a little sneak peek at what's going on in my brain, I'm thinking about doing a character from a video game that you would say is a little bit more meek and harmless, but actually like bumping them up to the next level to be like really hardcore and serious. If you have any guesses as far as what I'm thinking about doing, put it in the comments. I'd be really excited and interested to see and hear what you guys are thinking or what you're guessing the cosplay I'm gonna do next is. All in all, I would say this was a very successful first convention. I was glad to have my friends there and be able to meet so many cool people and see so many creative and inspiring things, especially in ways of art and cosplay. Hopeful for my next time around, and I don't know, we'll see. It was really great. A lot of cool people who were in the community who just kind of like love these different movies and TV shows and anime and all that good stuff. Alright everyone, that's going to be it for me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video and my overall recap of this past AWA weekend. If you are looking forward to more videos in the future, please subscribe to my channel. It really means a lot. Hopefully I can push out more of that for you all in the future. And I'm also really bad at outros, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video now. Have a wonderful day everyone. Bye!